Our history teaches us that whenever we humans discover a new land, we try to exploit it for our economic benefits. Humans set foot on moon in 1969 for the first time. It was just like a discovery of new land for us, except this time it was located in the space. On Earth, it is easy to find out what resources we can get from a particular piece of land. However, in the case of moon, it took us more than 30 years to figure out how to exploit the moon. Hi guys, welcome to Eclectic. Here we talk about our past, present and the future. So if you feel interested, consider subscribing. There was a time when traditional space organizations used to take 10 to 15 years for building a single satellite. But now, because of the privatization of the space industry, we are seeing rapid advancement in space technology. The total market for satellites, space-related services and rocket launches has exploded from $60 billion per year to $200 billion per year. Big billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are pouring their money into the space industry. But the question is, why? What profit would these companies make out of this? No one spends billions of dollars just to save humanity from getting extinct. Therefore, to help pay for these ambitious projects, astronomers have looked into physics and economics of mining the moon and noted that at least 3 potential resources are worth exploiting on the moon. In 1990s, in an unexpected discovery, scientists discovered the presence of large quantities of ice in the southern hemisphere of moon. The origin of this ice can be explained by the cometary impacts that took place in the early history of the solar system. Comets are mainly made of ice, dust and rock. So when a comet strikes the moon, it leaves a deposit of water and ice behind. That water in turn can be turned into oxygen and hydrogen, and both of them are the principal components of rocket fuel. Therefore, this can transform the moon into a cosmic gas station. I know, it sounds like a science fiction, but in reality it is quite possible.
Since the 1960s, scientists have suspected that frozen water could survive in permanently shadowed craters at the moon's poles. Both hydrogen and oxygen could be trapped within the lunar soil. So to find water on the moon, scientists are looking for indications of hydrogen using the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter's LEND neutron detector. By observing the interaction of neutrons with the lunar soil, scientists can interpret how much hydrogen is likely to be present. In order to make a detailed interpretation, however, LEND needs to observe a large number of neutrons. Because LRO is constantly moving, LEND is never over one place long enough to count many neutrons. So, to make a detailed interpretation of neutron flux, scientists add together many measurements from many orbits. With each orbit, LEND's dataset gets larger, and its picture of neutron flux continually improves over time. The dark blue regions in this visualization are places on the south pole of the moon with a suppressed flux of neutrons because of their interaction with hydrogen. These areas strongly suggest the presence of water frozen within the soil.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water. It can be separated in oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
Liquid hydrogen. Why are we using liquid hydrogen? This is not how Apollo did it. Why are we using liquid hydrogen as our fuel? A couple of reasons. One, it's very high performance, and so that helps a lot when you're landing on the moon. That's that after you've got to carry all of your propellant to the moon. Second reason we're using liquid hydrogen is because ultimately we're going to be able to get hydrogen from that water on the moon and be able to refuel these vehicles on the surface of the moon and use them.
If you go through the detailed plan of the Mars mission of NASA, you would get a better picture. In order to send astronauts to Mars, NASA has planned to build an entirely new system, which they call the Deep Space Gateway. It resembles the International Space Station, except it is smaller and it will orbit the moon, not the Earth. Astronauts will live on the Deep Space Gateway, which will act as a fueling and resupply station for the mission to Mars.
Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
and more in testing,
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions.
We need a capsule
that can support humans from launch
through deep space and return safely back to Earth.
For this, we've built Orion,
This is NASA's next generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources.
We're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon.
Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
We want lunar landers that are reusable.
That can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity.
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
The moon is quite uniquely suited
to prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
Construction of this lunar space station will begin in 2023 and it will be operational by 2026. So yep, Moon is all set to become our gas station in the future. Apart from that, the water could also be purified for drinking purposes or can be used to create small-scale agriculture farms. In fact, another group of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs have created a company called Moon Express to begin the process of mining ice from the moon. It is the first private company ever to get permission from the government to begin this commercial enterprise. The primary target of Moon Express is to search for the presence of ice deposits by using a lunar rover. The company has already raised enough money through private funding to proceed with this mission. Rare earth elements. Scientists have also analyzed and studied the moon rocks brought back by the Apollo astronauts, and they believe there may be other economically significant elements on the moon.
Oh man, look at that. Almost see twinning in there. Guess what we just found? Guess what we just found? I think we found what we came for. Crystal and rock, huh? Yes, sir. You better believe it.
More than 840 pounds of samples were collected from the moon between 1969 and 1972. It's a collection of rocks, core samples, pebbles, and dust that scientists are still learning from nearly 50 years later.
Rare earth elements are very important for manufacturing electronics. They are located everywhere in small quantities, but the Chinese rare earth industry makes up 97% of the world trade. China alone has roughly 30% of the world's rare earth elements reserves. A few years ago, an international trade war almost erupted when Chinese suppliers abruptly raised prices on these key elements, and the world suddenly realized that China has a monopoly over the rare earth elements.
The trade war is ramping up with China over something called rare earth minerals.
Rare earths, 17 minerals you may barely remember from high school chemistry or geology. They've got funny sounding names like praseodymium, dysprosium, neodymium, and europium. They look like little more than sand, but they are perhaps the most strategically important minerals in the world right now. If you want a cell phone, computer screen, electric car, or a rechargeable battery, you need these minerals. They're also critical in the production of magnets, necessary for building renewable energy projects. Now, the United States used to be a world leader, but 20 years ago, China figured out how important rare earths would be and boosted supply. Prices crashed. Soon, it was no longer profitable to operate mines in the United States. The last major rare earth company in North America, Molycorp, filed for bankruptcy 4 years ago. We now rely on China for more than 90% of rare earth production or processing, creating a big problem. And not just a problem for consumer technology, but for national security. Many of these elements are critical components in defense systems. The long-term concern is that China will end up controlling so much rare earth mining and refining that it will be able to dictate price and availability around the world.
Anyway, on the Earth, supply of rare earth elements is rapidly depleting, and that makes it urgent to find alternate sources. Rare earth elements have been found in moon rocks, but in order to make it cost effective, we would need help from the robotics. Because human worker cannot work up there, we need robots. Platinum is another element that has been detected on the moon. There are approximately 17 chemical elements that are detected on the lunar surface, and they have a good demand on Earth, especially for consumer electronics. Finally, there is the possibility of finding helium-3 on the moon, which is useful in the nuclear fusion reactions. and is available in very limited quantity on the earth. Sun has the limitless free energy because of the nuclear fusion. It shines because of the nuclear fusion. So, is the nuclear fusion the future of energy, or will it be a failure? To understand that, watch this video made by Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. And at the end, here is a gentle reminder of what this channel is all about. At my channel, I make videos on our past, our present and our possible future. In that process, I cover topics like history, philosophy, politics, science, technology and the social issues of 21st century and much more. So consider subscribing if you are interested in any of that. Go ahead, check out the playlist and videos that are already available. Subscribe if you find them interesting, and also I assure you that more interesting content will keep coming up. If it is possible for you, economically support my channel on patreon.com. Thank you all very much. See you soon.